Hello once again, and welcome back to another episode of Movie Deputy Reviews, where we are once again taking an in-depth look into a movie that has, let's say this week we have gone from the silly spooky to the weird and spooky, and today we're just going to be in the creepy category. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, we're going to be talking about the movie Trap today. Now, if you haven't heard of this one, don't feel bad. It's got some A-listers in it, but it's basically a B-list movie. But the thing is, it's an M Night Shamalayan movie. So I kind of had higher hopes for a story such as this. And as the story plays out, and even just at the very beginning, you realize that this is not an M Night Shyamalan movie. It is his daughter's movie. And I'm sure he was involved with making this, but his daughter was the one who, this was her vision for a movie. And I can almost guarantee after watching this that his daughter is a Swiftie. If you're not familiar with what that is, it is a Taylor Swift fan. And I'm going to get into that a little bit here in just a moment. I want to let you know I'm giving this movie a very guilty rating, just because of just some of the references and some of the things that are happening on the screen. And in conversation just in regarding this movie, people are like, oh, you must be a huge Swiftie to understand like some of the references in this movie. It's like, no, but I'm not blind. I can pay attention to pop culture around me without being a Swiftie. Do I like some of her music? Yes. I mean, she's talented. But am I a fan? No. If somebody gave me a concert ticket, I would likely give it away. I would have no interest in going. But, I mean, I'm not saying that she's not talented, but there was definitely the references to being a Swiftie in this movie, like full on. Now, mind you, it's not Taylor Swift is the focus of this movie. The star's name in the movie is Lady Raven, and her fans are referred to as the Flock. Now, the artist's real name, her name is Salika, or I'm probably mispronouncing that, so if I am, I apologize. But in this movie, his daughter wants to really go see this Lady Raven concert, and so he gets tickets, and he decides to go to the concert with her. Well, there's so much security around this concert that he quickly realizes that it's not just a concert. This is a bit of a sting operation because the local authorities became aware that a certain serial killer was going to be in attendance. How they knew this, I don't know why, but a certain serial killer was going to be in attendance, so they bumped up security to try to catch him. Well, if you haven't already figured out who the serial killer is, it's kind of obvious. I'm not going to come out and say it. I mean, that'd be kind of a spoiler, but it's like I said, it's a little bit more than obvious, even with the trailers. But so he's there with his daughter, and if you've ever seen any of the Taylor Swift stuff online, you know that she does this thing where she gives like a hat to one of the kids that's one of the concert goers, and it's like this interaction that she does. Well, Lady Raven does something very similar with one of her concert goers, and the dad just kind of makes sure that his daughter gets selected for this position in order to accomplish what he's trying to accomplish. Now, it's a slow burn. It plays out, but it leaves you, like I said, you have to be a fan of that type of story to understand how this is playing out. You have to be a fan and know how preteen, young teenage girls act at this type of show to understand how this plays out. And so here's this dad just trying to play along. Well, he realizes he's in a really sticky situation and there's no way out. So he makes some decisions that kind of put everything in jeopardy, including the star herself. And I'm not going to give away how it wraps up. I'm not going to say whether or not he gets caught or not, because honestly, this could lead into a second movie. The way that this just kind of plays out, the way that they kind of leave it on a little bit of a cliffhanger, but honestly, you have to wonder if you really would want it to go into a second movie, unless they just kind of really ramp up where they're going with this. It was so predictable all the way through. Like, you could see what was going to happen. The very ending is a little bit surprising. It's just kind of, oh, I wasn't expecting that, but not like, oh my gosh, or anything like that. But it's just like, oh, okay, that's a little bit different than what I was expecting. So he really, it's going to have a very limited audience because of the whole theme of the movie. Now, even if you're a Swiftie fan, you may not get that much out of this. It's a horror movie without having enough horror to keep you drawn at attention. It's a thriller that doesn't quite keep you on the edge of your seat. It's suspenseful, but not necessarily in the way you might think. So ultimately, I ended up with a score of just a 5 out of 10 on the Deputy scale. I was debating being in the 4s. The only reason that it made the leap up to a 5, and honestly, that's a stretch giving it that good of a score. But the only reason that it jumped up to that level was because of that just a little bit of surprise at the very end. So should you decide to go see this or watch this at home or whatever, be sure to sit all the way through it because it's worth it. There are no bonus scenes at the end, unfortunately. But if you decide to partake on a movie such as this, sit through it. Because there's just something at the end that leads into the whole idea that there could be more. Will there be? We'll just have to wait and see. But I am at least somewhat intrigued. I know you probably don't sound too enthusiastic about that, but like I said, it at least created some curiosity. So if another one does come out and you're curious to look back at this one, then that might help understand it a little bit more. But yeah, this one is definitely aimed at a target tween, young teen audience. That's really the target audience for this. High school date, maybe young college, right? Just in that range there somewhere. So again, I'm giving this a guilty rating. And again, it's got a score of just a 5 out of 10 on the Deputy scale. Like I said, I was for the majority of the movie, I was really in the 4s. It was only because of that last little bit that it jumped up to the 5 on that. But I hope that you hit those buttons to always get the latest and greatest Movie Deputy content. I know some of my shows are sometimes erratic just because of, especially some of the health issues I've got going on. I've got other health issues too, but now they're just compounded with everything else lately. But if you always want the latest and greatest Movie Deputy content, you know which buttons to push. And I can't wait to talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.